Okay.
No. Okay. Welcome to the Nobody Podcast.
Hey.
First of all, thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your day, even though it's 2 p.m. but 2:30. But thank you so much. It really means everything to me.
Oh, no
it
problem.
Really does.
I'm glad. I don't know how you found me, but hey.
Instagram.
Ah.
That's what I'm saying. Like Instagram. You know what I mean? Social media. So, thank you so much. So my name's Abisai, and you are?
Jenn Riesman.
Jenn Riesman. Pleasure. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
I guess currently as far as like what I do, or just go from there.
In general, yeah. Let's start from the very, very, very beginning.
The beginning of the spiel. Okay. Well, my name's Jenn Riesman. I'm the owner of Rooster Crow Baking Company,
Okay.
and I'm located out of the Fairmont Hotel in downtown San Antonio, off Alamo Street.
Love it.
I practice this all the time. I gotta tell people all the time. People want to know. People want to know.
Please.
And I'm a pastry chef here in San Antonio. This year, May and my birthday, will mark my 15th year
15th.
in the baking and pastry game. Yeah, I started working in a bakery right after I turned 18. So, and I'll be 30
right away.
Right away, immediately. And so I'll be 33 this year, so that gives me 15 years of this.
15 years. Was it what sparked? Since you started straight out of 18.
Yeah,
did you go to school?
I did. So I went to a really cheap, small technical school in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Okay.
I was still 17 when I started there. I tested out early out of high school. I was super nerdy and I had all these credits. So I was done out of high school or on the earlier side. And I went to a tech school in Little Rock for about 10 months. And I've just been doing it ever since. But I mean, I always knew. Like even as a child, as a little girl, like I always knew that I was gonna cook, that I was gonna be a chef or some sort of artisan, or I got to my glasses fog up, some sort of artisan or creative type. And it wasn't until maybe like my preteens and like teenage years that I really, I mean, this is all before the Food Network and everything. So it wasn't until my teenage years that I even knew or was aware that there was a thing for pastry chefs, that you could just do desserts. Like I was always more interested in the desserts, because they were beautiful. I was a little fat kid. Like I love, I just assumed that like I like all the desserts because duh, like I like all the desserts, type thing. But then I realized that there were pastry chefs and people that specialized in that. And then from there, I always knew that I was gonna cook and be a chef, one way or another.
So you went to technical school for cooking?
For baking and pastry.
Okay.
Mhm.
So are you originally from Arkansas?
I'm from Texas. I grew up about an hour from Dallas.
Okay.
And at the time, my mom had remarried and was in Little Rock, and I was about to graduate high school, and I was trying to I wanted to stay in Texas, because, Arkansas is great, but I wanted to stay in Texas type thing. But, especially at that time, there weren't a lot of options for school for me, and there weren't any financial options either. Like, I couldn't afford to go to the CIA, I couldn't afford to go to the Le Cordon Bleu, and, I always, was very aware of, what I was doing with my life. I'm going to be an artisan. I'm not going to be a tech person or computers or medical, so even at a young age, I was like, it doesn't make sense for me to take out loans and go into debt for 60, 70 grand, to go to school, at Le Cordon Bleu. It just wasn't, it didn't sound like a smart option, and it really just wasn't, even if I wanted to, it wasn't an option for me anyways. And of course, moms make it happen type thing. Lo and behold, she found a small little like brand new startup technical school in Little Rock, and they give you like the base knowledge or whatever. But like a lot of those schools, if it, I think it was like after everything was said and done, it was like less than 15 grand or
Really?
You show up and you're paying for a piece of paper, is what you're doing.
Yeah.
They showed basics or whatever, but really, like, you're just, the name of the game is, get and pay for that piece of paper so that you have some sort of one up as far as, job opportunities. Because, this is in the early 2000s, like 2006, 2007, when like everyone was like really, like on the Kool-Aid trend of like you have to have a degree, you have to have some sort of something to get anywhere in life or to get a job or to, give yourself, a one up in the competition or whatever. So I mean, at that time, like I did, all the only thing that mattered was like getting that piece of paper, obviously going and learning and showing up to the classes and everything like that. But like that piece, in my mind at that time, like that piece of paper was my key,
Since it was technical school, did you really learn anything from there? Since I know you said since you were little you wanted to do it, so I'm sure you experimented, I'm sure you played around in the kitchen, I'm sure you tried all these things. So whenever you actually went to the technical school, I'm assuming you already had knowledge about everything. And since it's a technical school, it's just school in general, it's just like they reteach you, like they start all over again from basics for the people that are like barely starting to get into it. So did you really learn something from it, or was it more just for the paper like you mentioned? It was back then.
I mean, I learned, I think that, I mean, that's that's an individual. Ooh.
Sorry.
That's an individual thing. I think, the right people, you can, the right type of people, not that there's a wrong or anything, but, some people you can learn anywhere.
Of course.
Even in the worst situations or whatever. So, I mean, I'm not going to, say that I didn't learn anything. I mean, I learned basics. I learned, how to, use the machinery or, like, basic knife skills or,
Gotcha.
Like basic ingredients and stuff like that. But I definitely, had the strong feeling, like, once I graduated and started, getting out into the work life that, we definitely weren't as prepared as what we thought or, what they told us, that we would be type thing. Which, I mean, I assumed,
of course.
I had a sneaking suspicion for a minute, type thing. But, I mean, at the end of it, really, it was wanting that, that piece of paper type thing. I mean, I learned a little bit, but like looking back, and kind of like reevaluating myself, I probably could have, I mean, I know that, if I would have just bought the books off of, I don't know if Amazon was around at that time, but like if I would have just bought the books, and we were using the same school books, the same technical school books as the CIA and Le Cordon Bleu.
Really?
Yeah, because you can buy buy their books, Professional Baking, Professional Cooking 101, Stocks and Sauces, all that stuff. We were using the same books. And so, I mean, looking back on it now, and what I've told people is, go buy that book at Half Price Bookstore, and just start with chapter 1 and, go apprentice. And, I mean, no place is going to pay you any money anyways if you don't have experience. So, like, go apprentice and go, learn that way. And that's basically what I had to do anyways. I got out of school and, it was great and everything, but you still start from the very, very beginning and the very, you start all over anyways.
And what was the very, very, very beginning for you? Like right after school, what was the beginning for you?
It was one of my teachers had a cake shop, and she would hire me to go in and do, I mean, like, I would spend hours like chopping chocolate. So big blocks of chocolate, chop it down into little pieces type thing. But I was always like super, super artsy. And so that, I would start like, she would have me like do like, I need 100 little fondant bows, or I need little roses or little flowers, or, and just kind of start, go from there, like, hey, like kind of just like put this cake together for me. And either I or like, someone like, more seasoned will come back and like decorate it on top type thing. So I mean, just very like, basic things, or, you start off with, like scaling out or weighing out recipes for someone else to mix and use.
How long did that last? And were you ever like annoyed and you're like, I just want to quit here because like I know that I could do a lot more. I have more potential for myself and I just want to quit? What made you stick it out?
I wasn't there for very long, probably like the duration of when I was in school, like on and off type thing. And like a lot of bakeries and cake places, like they'll have their main employees, and then like, during busy times or whatever, then bring in like extra people. And, I was a student at the time. So, like, she would, call me up and be like, hey, can you work this weekend, or can you pick up this day or that day type thing. But there were definitely times where I would be frustrated, because I wanted to do more, or, I wanted to, I've always been like a super, especially professionally, I've always been like a super dominant person and like dominant personality. So I was like, no, like I want to be head bitch, like I want to be in charge, like I want to be telling what other people what to do,
Gotcha.
type thing. So I mean, definitely there were like, points of frustration. But I mean, I've always like tried, again, like, with being dominant, like tried to channel that, like, well, I'm just gonna, like I'm gonna go after this person, not go after their job or whatever,
Of course,
but like, people always move up, like, okay, like when they move up to manager, like I'm next in line, like I'm taking their spot, like I'm gonna be their number one or their little right hand man, type thing. So I mean, there's definitely like having that frustration on and off, like through the years, with jobs, because I wanted to do more, or, like or I would get to the point to where like, like I felt, I would never say it out loud or anything, but I felt like that maybe I had like already like surpassed like who I was like working for,
Gotcha.
type thing. Like, what, like I've gotten everything it is that I can get out of this person. Like I've learned their stuff and I can do, whatever, you can't even tell, whether I did it or my pastry chef did it, type thing. So, I mean, but that's always, like, been, like, a push, and, like, that's when like, it's time to, like, move forward and, like, find something else type thing.
What was something really humbling that happened to you that made you, since you said you have, like, that very dominant, characteristic about yourself, was there any scenario where you're, like, that really humbled you and you're like, oh, okay, this makes sense, I'm going to put my pride aside? Because sometimes pride takes the better hold of you, and you're like, you know what, you make decisions super drastically, and you're like, you know what, I could do better than this, and you quit, and then you're like, oh man, I should have just, then you look back and you're like, oh, I should have just stuck it out or something like that. Was there anything humbling that happened to you that put you into
put me in my place? Yeah. Oh yeah. And then and I will say, and maybe too much too, like I tend to like, like that's kind of like my default too, is, and maybe it's just, like an answer to my own, character flaws and stuff like that. But I've always been quick to like, oh no, like definitely my fault. Like this was definitely my doing, or like I fucked up, But like, that's the thing, like with the hospitality industry is like, it's constantly humbling because it's so hard. I'm trying to think of like a specific where like, it's a team sport, even though, like, there's always some sort of leader. There's always, there's the pecking order, type thing in kitchen. Like, kitchens can't run without them, type thing. It's a team sport, and, like, you have to know what your limits are, and you have to know when to ask for help. Let's see. This was, like, 10 years ago or whatever. But, man, I was pushing this cart. It was this... I know when he hears it, the chef's gonna know exactly like the moment. But anyways, I was pushing this, like, it's called a speed rack, and it holds like 20 sheet pans, right? It was a full speed rack full of like all of these ceramic ramekins with creme brulee in them. And I was pushing this rack, and it was I used to work at the Omni Le Marchand and the Mocara Hotel off the Riverwalk like 10 years ago. This is actually the second. I've lived in San Antonio twice. I lived here in 2009 and 10, and then I moved back in 2015. Anyway, so I'm pushing this giant, full, heavy cart full of desserts from one property to another. And at that time, like, I've always been kind of an ass type thing. And, I mean, you just have to, if you're a young woman, like, working in kitchens and stuff like that, like, you're either gonna like be like super quiet and like super submissive and like just do whatever, or you're gonna go the opposite direction and be like super protect yourself and like be like loud and like more of a force type thing. So I always tried to like have all my stuff taken care of and everything like that. Anyways, I'm pushing this cart, and of course like it gets caught, the wheel of the cart gets caught in a hole, and the whole thing goes down. Like, we're talking like 80 ceramic containers broken. There's custard all over the street. There's just everything. This party is starting in like 3 hours.
No way.
Yeah, like there was a cake too that was like a celebration cake. Like, it was bad. Like, there was no saving. The cart itself was broken. Like, there was no saving anything, And like immediately I had had myself like I call the chef, and I was like, I'm crying by then. you know, and he's like, what's going on, like if I'm crying, there must be something, there's an issue, tough Jen, like, why is she crying? Oh, Stevie Paprocki, shout out to you. But anyways, like I tell him, I'm off of Navarro Street or whatever. I'm in between the two hotels, and I'm like, everything's gone, everything's broken. I fucked up. What are we gonna do? And like, him and like a couple, cooks or whatever came out, and like we're like scraping together all this like sharp, custardy, broken ceramic, and like we had to like, there wasn't time for like, oh my god, to like wail into me or to be like, what are we gonna, there was no time. Like we immediately had to come together, be like, okay, like what do we have, like like go through the coolers real quick and like find stuff and put it together and this and that. And like thankfully there was like more custards baked for another party like 2 days from then, type thing. So like, but like we all had to like immediately, that snap decision, like there's no time for the blame game type thing, like we're in this together, no matter what. Like so we immediately had to come together, to eye for the prize, to get that job done. And I don't even know how we did it, but like in the end, like all 80 people got their creme brulees, and like there was another cake in the freezer that we were able to pull out and just like ice real quick and stick some chocolate, some flowers to make it nice, make it happen, type thing. But there's definitely been like times where like I've had to go to other like chefs above me or anything like that and be like, look, like, dude, I fucked up. Like, I need help, or I need you to fix this for me, or I need this, or I need that. So I think that, like the kitchen, like it teaches you like to have like a lot of pride and a lot of strength, but like you've got to know like when you need that help, And then on the opposite side too, where like, I've had, people come to me and like, maybe I didn't like personally like them, or maybe I didn't professionally respect them, or, any type of situation, or maybe it was, whatever, some dude who wouldn't go out, whatever, so whatever personal reasons it was, like you immediately, like if they come up to me and be like, Jen, girlfriend, like I'm in a fucking bind, like I need this and that from you, you immediately like, okay, all right, you need me to stop what I'm doing and like cook a bunch of vegetables for you? I got you. You need this for me, or like, just like anything, any type of personal feelings or anything like that goes out the window. Like we're one team, get it done.
What has it always been hard to you to ask for help? And in your mind, what do you think's harder, asking for help, or the willingness to actually put any differences aside and say, you know what, you need my help, so I'm gonna help you?
I mean now more and more it's harder to ask for help.
So it's harder now.
It's harder now to ask for help because there's just not like a lot of help out there, type thing. There's there was a crisis for needing, extra culinary, hospitality, any type of back of the house kitchen. There was a shortage of kitchen people, before the pandemic. And, now, like, either most people, they're out of work, or they're not trying to, they don't want to work, for safety reasons, obviously. Or, so many people are leaving the industry altogether.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, I know, so many other bakers and pastry chefs that are in school for accounting now, or nursing, or they're just leaving the industry because they just can't take it anymore,
They can take what, if you don't mind me asking?
It was hard before the pandemic, and now, like,
to make like a living.
To make a living,
okay.
and to make it happen. So now it's like harder to ask for help because, I find myself like needing more and more help, but there's only so many people, that I can ask that are capable or qualified to help me. And, like I've been asking them, constantly since last March, type thing. So like now it's like kind of like more, definitely the pressure of, like, as far as my own ambitions and ambitions for this company, like I'm alone in that, if I'm going to make it happen, like I have to make it happen myself, type thing. And, like calling up and asking one of my friends in Austin to like come down and, bake with me for a couple days to bail me out, is nice or whatever, but I've probably done it like 5 or 6 times now.
Gotcha.
So like it's getting harder to swallow that pride and be like, look, like I need help, or I need, over Christmas, I got very, very sick over Christmas. I had kidney stones. I was in the hospital for sepsis. I almost died, blah, blah, blah.
How are you now, though?
I'm fine.
Okay.
I mean,
You're kicking,
you know.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm kicking. I'm alive now. You know, I made it. I definitely made it, you know. But I mean, like, you know, like I had to ask, you know, other bakers, you know, in the community, like, you know, like I need you to come in and, you know, I need you to come in and bake kolaches for me at 5 a.m. because, like, I can't lose this account, you know, like I can't lose this customer, like, you know, like if I don't, you know, like if I cancel all my orders, you know, I could be out, you know, a couple $1,000s, you know, type thing. Like I've got to have help, you know. So like that was like a hard experience, and it wasn't just asking for help because I was busy and maybe took too many orders. You know, I'm asking for help because I'm I'm hooked up in a hospital, you know, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and you know, like before the fucking morphine like starts really, really kicking in, like I better find someone to fry my donuts for me for Friday, you know.
So even when you were sick, almost dying, you still had to take care of your business.
Oh yeah, I mean, I absolutely, you know, like you know, I mean, you know, it goes beyond, you know, like, oh, do you love what you do, or are you passionate about it, or does it make you happy, you know, like it goes so, for me anyways, like it, you know, that's my edge, you know. There's definitely other friendlier, like more talented bakers and pastry chefs, even here in this city, you know, type thing. There's definitely, you know, people doing better products or faster or cheaper, you know, for whatever reason type thing. But you know, like this is what I do. Like I'll die for it. You know, like the day after I was discharged from the hospital from sepsis and having stents in my kidneys, like I was back. I mean, I was only able to do it for like 3 hours, but I was like back, you know, baking the next day because I had to. You know, like this is my livelihood. If my ovens aren't on, I'm not making money. And now I have an emergency room bill coming. Sure. You know, if I don't produce my product, you know, like the few accounts that I have managed to get together during this pandemic, you know, like I'm sure they all like me and wish me well, but you know, if I can't deliver, they're gonna find someone who can. You know, so I mean, it's, you know, this is, you know, for better, for worse, and you know, through it all, like this is my life, you know, this is everything, who I am and what I do, and, you know, like I live for it, and I'll die for it, and I'll hobble around, you know, with bleeding kidneys and on pain meds, you know, baking cookies, like, you know, if I have to, because there's no other choice, there's no other, you know, there's just no other way for me. It's too late. I'm in too deep. Not to sound, it's not a negative thing. I'm just keeping it real, you know, like sure. You know.
I love it.
Okay.
No, I love it. I was just thinking, this does have to be something you're more than just a feeling, more than, you know, I like baking cookies or making little cute artsy stuff.
Yeah. You know, it's come, I mean, there's been great rewards from it. It's so rewarding. Like I love what I do every day. You know, like, you know, I'm an artist, I'm an artisan, so of course I'm always in my feels. I'm always emotional. Someone's always breaking my heart, or you know, doing, and you know, and like, and I can just go in and just like, you know, I turn my ovens on and I fucking let my soul bleed, you know, like I create things and I make other, you know, I'm able to like work through those problems, you know, or whatever thing, you know, thing it is, or slight that I felt, or you know, whatever, you know, type thing. You know, so I mean, it's, you know, it's just it's just everything, you know. I mean, it you know, it awards me the lifestyle, you know, that I want, you know. Even when I was a little girl, like, you know, like you know, obviously I wanted to cook and be a pastry chef, but I mean, at the base of that is, you know, being an artist. You know, I was like, no one said that everyone said it wasn't a possible thing, or that it wasn't a thing at all, but you know, I'm gonna live my life like, and only do what I want to do, and I'm gonna make my art, and I'm gonna bake my cakes, and I'm just gonna be covered in tattoos, and just, you know, just doing it. You know, Hot Topic was never a phase. You know, like you know, edgy forever, you know, type thing. So I mean, it's giving me that, you know, I get to, you know, not very many people get to say that, you know, like I'm at a point, you know, where I can look however I look, you know, and like however I want to look, and it doesn't matter anymore, you know, because my work speaks for itself, But I mean that's great. A lot of people don't get to do that, and I know a lot of artisans that do food and otherwise, painters or graffitiers or whatever that make, just that'll, one of my good friends, he's a local graffitier, and his work will just, it's so beautiful, just break your heart type thing. But like he has to have a regular job too.
Yeah.
And to be able to, for me, being able to link that together to where like what I do, like I make money off of it, and I support myself from it. Like that's a rare thing. Like you don't see that a lot, anymore. I feel everyone has their passion, but then like, they have to go work in an office or go do this or go do that. So I mean, it's been great, on that, but it also, it comes at a very, very steep price too. Not to say that I'm like the end all be all or anything, but
Of course.
It's lonely at the top. Like it's, no one's gonna come. I mean, people obviously. I just said like people came and saved me while I was in the hospital or whatever. Sent me, or were supportive, or sent me videos, or cried their tears for me or whatever because they felt bad, because I'm great and I'm about to die, type thing. Like I definitely had, do have, some amazing people supporting me, but it's hard. Like it's hard on relationships, and it's like I work every single day, and they're long hours, or sometimes like like I need to wake up at 3:00 in the morning and start my day, and I'm not free till 8:00 at night, and that's and so that plays is detrimental to a lot of relationships, like family relationships or relationship with friends or otherwise type thing. So I mean that that's like was a price to pay. Like I'm usually not available. I can't hang out on Christmas Eve. I can't, I'm working on Thanksgiving. Like
Gotcha.
I'm doing, like I can't go out to brunch for you because, well, like I make and sell pastries for other places for their brunch programs, and now that, I'm like incredibly fortunate that, for whatever reason, the city of San Antonio, just loves me and just thinks that I'm so funny and interesting and stuff, charming. I hear that a lot, that I'm very charming when I'm not being mean. It's getting hard too because I'm becoming more and more well known for what I do, and I mean there's no denying, especially like in my outside I'm covered in tattoos. I'm a visually striking person. I mean, just being real, but, and I see it, it's hurt a lot of relationships because I'll try to, like maybe go hang out at the Pearl, or I'll go to a restaurant here in the Southtown neighborhood, and, I step up on that scene and, I'm that girl,
Gotcha.
so like having that type of attention, it's obviously not negative attention. I think it's beautiful that people recognize and respect me for my work type thing. But it's also sometimes that, I'm trying to, be out with one of my friends or whatever and just be like a regular, I just want to be a pretty girl in a pretty restaurant. I mean, it's not my fault that all my friends happen to be incredibly beautiful too, type thing. But I just want to be a pretty girl in a pretty restaurant, and then like, having, people come up to you and that type of, attention, definitely, for a quote unquote regular person, or someone who's not used to that, or maybe someone who knows me on a personal side but like not like more of my professional side, like that can be a lot and can be just intimidating or weird, or like Jesus, like I can't go anywhere with you because everyone thinks, and they're right, that you have some sort of cookie in your pocket that you're going to give them if they come up and talk to you, so that those types of, which I mean people should be stronger and whatever, appreciate it more, but like like those types of things have definitely hurt and ruined relationships, and it's definitely been one of the costs that I've had to pay to live my truth. Like I spend all my time baking, and then I spend the rest of my time either chilling at home, or I'm I have to be out and about, and I have to be on. I have to be charming. I have to be that girl handing out bags of cookies to her favorite restaurants, because, you know, I can't let you forget about me. You know, like, I'm here, I'm ready to sell to you. Type thing. But, like, you know, it's hard, you know, going back and forth, you know, because I'm sure, you know, not everyone wants that type of attention, or wants to have to, like, wants a conversation interrupted, you know, because someone's like, oh my God, Jen, you did my grandma's birthday cake last year, blah, 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 you know, like, which I love, which is great, you know, but, like, you know, that is as fun as whatever that, you know, sounds or funny, like, it's also, like, been, you know, it's definitely, like, a hurtful thing that that I see, like, played out, you know, like, in my life, you know, it's like, it's a pattern, you know, and so it's, you know, got to chalk it up to the game, and it's just one of the prices, you know, that you have to pay for it.
What's the, in your opinion, what's the best way to keep feeding a relationship, whether it be with family, even though family might be a little bit easier, because no matter what, through thick and thin, they're always going to be there, but whenever it comes to, like, friends or, like, intimate partners, how do you, what's for you, what's the best way? Or do you just say, you know what, this is who I am, I love you, but at this moment I'm not going to risk my career to feed this relationship when you know what my priorities are? What's the best way that you manage?
Oh man, I don't know a best way, and I don't manage, and that's why I'm in trouble to this very day.
Really? Okay.
You know, it's again, it's finding, you know, you have to find your tribe, and you have to find and for me, you know, like, I'm a super intense person, so I mean, I try to, you know, now, definitely, you know, from last year and into this one, like, learning that, you know, and maintaining consistency. You know, and, like, I try to, you know, even though, like, I might not have, you know, like, the actual physical time to hang out or to do this, like, I try to let, and maybe too much, I don't know, I've always been a fucking weirdo, but, like, I try to let, you know, I let people know how I feel about them, like, hey, I love you, or I'm thinking about you, or you shine bright, you crazy diamond, or, you know, that type thing, but I'm still trying to, you know, figure it out now. You know, like, I have, you know, I'm fortunate to have, you know, I can count them on one hand, which, you know, I guess you don't need more than that, but, you know, like, people that understand that, you know, sometimes, like, when I'm around, like, you know, like, I want to be around, and I want to hang out all the time, and, like, do this and do that, and I love cooking at home, like, that's, like, my thing, you know, like, I love to cook at home and invite people over and, you know, feed them dinner, you know, type thing, but, like, when I can't answer, when I can't be there, like, I just can't, you know, or if I'm too, you know, mentally, you know, bogged down with, like, this or that, or too busy, and, like, you know, my communication skills have broken down, like, I can't answer the phone, like, I can't have a conversation, like, you know, I can't, unless it's, like, an intense emergency, I cannot be bothered with whatever it is that, you know, like, you know, I told you that girl was wrong for you, you know, like, I told you, you know, and, like, but I gotta go, I'll give you cookies next time I see you, bye, click, you know, type thing, but now, I mean, like, I try to, you know, like, you know, it's, you know, like, I think it's really rare if you find, you know, any people that you can, like, connect with, you know, type thing, and I try really fucking hard to hold on to that, you know, like, I'm a giver, that's my love language, is acts of service and, words of affirmation. You should take the test, it's great. You know, but I mean, so, like, you know, if I care about you in any type of way, like, you know, I'm always bringing you things, or I'll bring you baked goods, or I'll bring you cookies, or I'll want to cook you dinner, or I'll want to do something, you know, for you, because in the back of my mind, I'm trying to make up for the fact that, you know, I fall short in those areas because I'm so busy, you know, like, okay. I, you know, like, I'll write, you know, like, I was into creative writing in high school, so, like, I am that person, like, if I feel some type of way, if I feel like you need to know something, like, I will text you paragraphs, you know, like, I feel this way about you, or I feel that way, or so, I mean, really, you know, I think the best way for me to, like, maintain relationships is to, like, you know, you have to be real with people and show them, and, like, sometimes, I mean, just like I said, sometimes, you know, that can be, the breaking point, like, like I'll meet someone or like become, new friendships or whatever, become friends with them, and like, sooner or later, especially if I, met them like outside of what I do, or like maybe that they're not a chef, or if they didn't meet me in like in a professional way, like in the back of my mind, like sooner or later, it's almost like a test, like, okay, all right, this person's cool, like I like hanging out with them, this and that, like, oh, like we're friends, and they have friends, like all that stuff. But it's almost like I have to like test them, like I have to take them somewhere where I know I'm gonna get that attention, right? And I have to, because they have to see. I tell them, I was like, you have to see it for yourself, type thing. Like you're gonna have to, and see if you can hang, and maybe you can, and maybe you can, or like maybe like, like we can't go out, but we can like, hang out one, that type of thing, like I can't take you to like the restaurants that I sell to, because it's part of my job, like if they buy from me, like I try to go eat at the restaurants that support me or whatever, like I support the chefs that support me, or the chefs that I want to support me, type thing. So so not all people are like fit for that type of role type thing. So but I try to keep it real. I try to tell people how I feel, and do things for them, and let them know that I'm thinking about them, or that I care about them, or all that good stuff. And then like I'll try my best to like intimidate them or scare them away, and then we just go from there.
Gotcha.
So, and it sounds like I'm really fucking big-headed. It's not. Like I really don't. I'm not. I don't know why people feel the way that they. And I'm sure now, like the next places I go to, like no one's gonna be like, "Who the fuck are you?" And they're like, "What were you talking about, Jen?" Like no one cares. No one even knows you. Type thing. But I mean, it's definitely it's been a a reoccurring theme, throughout my career. Finding that balance between like myself. Personally, like I'm very, like behind closed doors, like I'm very quiet and sweet, and I just want to chill, and I want to be agreeable, and, like I just want to, prance around my apartment and do arts and crafts projects, and like make sandwiches, and like, let's talk about our favorite colors, type thing. But then like, like outside, like out, if I'm on, type thing, then like I have to be direct, and I have to be like, not in your face or whatever, but I need people to remember me,
Gotcha.
Type thing. So it's definitely like a challenge, like finding that balance, because the line blurs so much,
Whenever it comes to finding that balance, have you maybe like in the earlier years of your life, did you ever give up like your passion, like like maybe you found your significant other that you thought was gonna be your everything, or like you found like a group of friends that you were like, what,
this
like,
is my clique. Yes, these are my people, my tribe.
And then you started doing everything for either that significant other, for that group of friends, and then slowly you started neglecting your pastry, pastry business, and then you're like, then either the relationship ends, or like the group of friends decide they find some like their significant other, and then they just leave you, and you're like, wow, I just wasted all this time.
Yeah.
And this whole business that I
left money on the table.
Exactly.
Like I was spending time with you, but I could have been out hustling on fucking posting on Instagram, getting orders. Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, I mean that's it's yeah, all the time, years. I mean, really not much. I mean, now like I'm a little bit more like in control of it type thing. Gotcha. But definitely when I was younger, but I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but so I spent my entire, I started when I was 18, and I'll be 33 in a couple months. So I mean, I literally spent my entire 20s working in restaurants and hotels, and I don't, who knows, like, there's no, you can't go back and change things now. Of course. But for the most part, at that time in my life, like I chose profession. So like I, if it came down to like, if it's between, going to work and like going and doing what I'm doing, or like going, like hanging out with some guy or some, like a partner or a potential partner type thing, like I definitely put work first.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So it definitely, like anything, like a ripple effect, It became where like, all of my friends were industry, and like all of any type of partnership or industry or other chefs or, whatever. So now, like, I try to put, I try to, you should find people that are worth it, like, because there are, every single day for me is a opportunity, and, like, it's finding people that are worth it. Like, yeah, I know I could get up early, I can get up early tomorrow and grind, and, now I can just bake stuff and then put it out on Instagram and be like, hey, I've got 6 pies, like, who wants them, type thing, and put it out there. But really it's, I think for me the balance is like finding, someone or people, friends or, whatever that are worth it, type thing. Like, yeah, like I could work for the 45th day. I hate the number 45. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Can we just get rid of that number? We all know what I'm talking about. It's a new day now though. It's finding, like, yeah, like, what, like, I could work for the umpteenth day in a row, but you know what, like, man, fuck that couple $100, like, that I could make or whatever. Like, I want to, this person, this moment, this experience is worth it. Like, this is, like, for the right person or whatever, like, I'd rather go spend $30 on some groceries and sit down and, like, have dinner and be a normal regular person than go and be exhausted and tired and go make money,
Gotcha. Okay.
So but it's definitely like, when it comes down to like, oh man, I wasted this time for nothing, I could have been grinding or I could have been making sales instead. Like, yeah, definitely, like, that'll, I way like focus in on things, so like I'll dwell on that and it'll tear me up inside, but then like, I'm always, like I said, like I'm always in my feels, I'm always got my heart on my sleeve, but then you fucking remember who the fuck you are. Jenn Riesman. Bake these pies and fucking make that dough, and then like I'll like go super hard, and then like I'll chill and be like, you know what, like I really do just want to go get a pedicure. I just want to go hang out with my girlfriends and, talk about what, just like, let's put on a fashion show for each other, whatever, so it's, it's fine. The balance is finding people that are worth it,
And, how were you able to, since you were mentioning from the, in the beginning, that some people usually, they have a passion, but they're either afraid or they know that at this very moment they can make the transition to a full-time thing and make it their career,
their livelihood.
How were you able to do it? Because I'm sure it wasn't handed to you. I know it wasn't given it to you. It was something that you were like, you know what, here it is, everything's here on the table. I know you, like you said, you're super hardworking, you had to work for it, but how were you able to transition from working in restaurants and hotels to making it your business and
just on my own? I just didn't have a choice. There was no choice. There was no other option. Like I always knew that I would get as far as it was, that I would get, and like, whether you want to chalk it up to, sexism or, whatever, just the climate that we're in. Or, this is, now it's been like a couple, I think a couple years now since the big boom of the, the Me Too movement and everything like that. Like I always knew that, after a certain point I would only get so far. And then from there, like I better figure it out or do something else. But there was just no choice. Like I just had to. And my business, I was already in business and doing it, basically part-time. Like I was still kind of working, for the Fairmont Hotel and for Patrick Richardson and the Silo restaurant groups. Patrick is amazing. Very supportive of my antics and my work. But there was just no choice like this, like, like I, even though like I'd spent, over a decade working for other people and working for other, really great properties and great hotels and restaurants and other, super amazing chefs and everything. Like I, after a certain point, like I knew that, like to maintain my life and to live this life that I just demand to live, that I would have to do it on my own type thing, you know. I couldn't keep letting other businesses or other, you know, places, you know, or other chefs, or, you know, not to say anything bad about the chefs I've worked for, but, you know, after a certain point, like, you know, I can't let them own my work or own my artistry, or what, you know, or be able to take, you know, recognition for my work. You know, like, you know, as proud as I've been to, you know, work with some really, really talented chefs, after so long, I just didn't want to hear, I got tired of being introduced as, this is my pastry chef, Jenn Riesman. This is the pastry chef for the property, Jenn. You know, stuff like that, you know. You know, wanting to, you know, branch off and to be on my own in that way, you know, so that, you know, I've never liked being told what to do. I don't like being told what to do or how to do it, or, you know, I have, you know, not authority issues, but I just can't be told anything. You know, like, I just can't. And unless it's good, like, unless, you know, I definitely have the wherewithal to be like, oh yeah, it's a good idea, or like, oh yeah, you know, whew, I was on one, thank you for setting me straight, you know, type thing. But, you know, like, I just knew that I would only get so far, and it just became so apparent with the support, you know, that I had from the city of San Antonio, you know, because so many people were just, you know, they're like, we don't care where you work or who you work for, you know, like, will you sell us these cakes or not, you know, type thing. But, you know, for me, there was just no choice. Like, this, you know, again, like I said, there's definitely, you know, more talented bakers and pastry chefs, you know, here in the city or here in the state or everywhere in the world type thing. But, you know, the main edge, you know, that I have is that I just don't have a choice. This is my life. There's no backup plan, you know. You know, all of my products taste the way that because I use a lot of salt and expensive ingredients.
Okay.
But, you know, I had someone out, and I was in a mood or whatever, but this is during, like, the holidays or whatever, and they were like, oh, Jenn, like, you know, I got one of your butterscotch pies, and it was just, and I wasn't in a mood, I didn't want to fucking hear it, you know, I hear it all the time, you know, but if I was tired, you know, like, I'm just a real ass sometimes, and they were like, Jenn, you know, they were just blubbering to me, and they're just like, Jenn, like, you know, like, it was so good, I just loved it, you know, my family loved it, and I was like, it tasted good, is that cool? Oh, that's cool, you know, like, it tasted good, you know, like, does it taste like my life depends on it? Because it does. Like, that's why my stuff tastes good, is my life depends on it, my livelihood, like, everything that I have, you know, type thing, depends on this, you know, simple chocolate chip cookie, you know, type thing. And so, I mean, that's my real edge. You know, when the shutdowns happened, like, you know, Rooster Co. Baking Company was, like, it was already, like, a thing. But I was still, like, you know, like, working part-time for the hotel and everything. And obviously, like, you know, that was, you know, the hotel shut down. It's still closed. The restaurants here are open, but the hotel, you know, the rooms themselves are closed. So, I mean, that went away, and I just, you know, I'm not gonna go back to school for any, you know, what else am I gonna do type thing, you know. I have a lot of tattoos, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna be a tattoo artist, you know. Like, that's too late. Again, it's too late for me. I'm in too deep. I don't know how to be anything other than, you know, myself and what I do. And, like, I'm a baker, you know, I'm an artisan. And, you know, that decision, you know, I was talking to another local chef here in town who always seems to give me, like, great advice, Chris Collum from Attagirl, you know, like, and usually, you know, because people were asking me, like, oh, Jenn, like, what are you going to do, you know, type thing. And I was just like, you know, like, you know, at this point, you know, like, I can't stop. Like, it has, you know, it has to keep going, you know, like, I can't, if I stop, you know, my business will die. You know, movement is life, you know, and if I stop moving, if I stop baking, if I stop hustling, like, everything stops. My rent stops. My, you know, my cute little apartment with all my art supplies stops, you know, type thing. And now, you know, the game is now, you know, and it still is, not to be, you know, harsh or anything, but, you know, my kitchen side comes out, you know, like, obviously most of these businesses here, you know, most of my peers here, and, you know, all of my baking and culinary brothers and sisters across the world and universe and galaxies and stuff, but, you know, like, a lot of businesses are going to close here in San Antonio. A lot of bakeries are going to close, you know. It's in my best interest, and there's no other way, but, like, I must be the last one standing. If anyone's going to survive, if anyone's going to, you know, kind of get that, you know, like, oh, where are we going to go? There's only so many places now. Like, like I have to be that last one, and that's, all I have to do is survive. Like, all I have to do is make it, like all I have to do is be smart. And then, unfortunately, wait for those liquidation sales to come, wait for, my peers to go under, because I know that, I need a new mixer for the cheap. And now, unfortunately, so many people are losing their businesses and their livelihoods. They're losing their dreams type thing, and they're going to have to get rid of it. It has to go somewhere. So, that's was and like still is, like my mindset, now, and it's always been my mindset, like I can't quit my job because there's nothing else, like I can't quit my crappy $10 an hour pastry cook job where the sous chef, if I get caught, like in a back storeroom, he's going to try to get weird or whatever with me. Like I can't quit it because there's, I just have to keep going, stick to the plan. Like, I'm going to be a badass, like, pastry chef who only does what she wants to do, and that's just how it is. And, like, and I bake my things and I sell them, So that's how that happened. I'm a rambler. I will, if you ask me a question, I talk way too much. I will just go off onto the deep end, type thing. So, but yeah, like, there was just, I just had to, I have to do what it is that I want to do. And like, I deeply, deeply want to bake for others. I deeply want to please and to serve others and to make my art and to touch people, and to be, maybe not me, myself, like I'm not, other than like I've seen, like, wow, I met this crazy chick at a restaurant yesterday, like, not necessarily me to be remembered, but I want people generations or years from now to be looking through a photo album and be like, man, they had a badass wedding cake. Or like, oh, look at this picture of this pie or this dessert, from a dinner I went to years, stuff like that. And so, that's it. There's just no other way. Like, I can't imagine doing anything other than what I'm doing, And so, I mean, that, when you don't have options, when there is nothing else, when there is no, oh, I'm just going to go to school to be an accountant or to be a therapist or something, like, you find out, like, how to make it work and how to make it happen. I'm lucky that, I'm trained in the culinary, I mean, it's all culinary, but, in the savory side as well, so, like, my original business plan and my original business for Rooster Crow was doing high-end custom wedding cakes.
Okay.
I mean, that was my whole, there's a whole chunk of my Instagram where it's nothing but all these beautiful cakes that I used to do, like, all these beautiful cakes for, when I worked at Hotel Emma and, like, other properties and stuff like that.
I saw the Star Trek. Yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun, yeah. It was like these two, it was this guy and it was his partner's, I think it was his husband's birthday, and he's like, oh, we're huge Trekkies, make us a Star Trek.
That was amazing.
Yeah. But, like, obviously, like, the pandemic hit and everything, and I had to, like, cake order, all of my weddings canceled. I was out, refunds, thousands and thousands of dollars because people book cakes, 6 months, a year out type thing. So, I was like, oh, I started baking kolaches, because I know how to, I mean, anyone can wrap dough around a sausage and can bake it, it's not rocket science. But, like, when I could tell that people were kind of tired of, sausage, like, I ordered in some beef cheeks and made my own pastrami because, like, I randomly know how to make pastrami. Like, I know how to smoke meats. And I think June, I was just financially tight, but I had, like, random vegetables and, I bought some chickens and I made a bunch of chicken pot pies and, sold them. I didn't even, like, put it online. I just hit up all the people that I know that will buy from me. Like, hey, I have these awesome chicken pot pies, like, they're $25, they'll feed 9 people easy, type thing, and just sell those. Or, type thing. Or, if I'm not trying to do, now that it's not cakes, I mean, I still do cakes, I'm still doing custom cakes and stuff like that, but now it's, because I, have an understanding for restaurants and, like, how restaurants work and desserts and things like that, now, the bulk of my business is having wholesale accounts set up with other restaurants, instead, so now I'm making desserts for the Hayden, which is like a loosely Jewish deli concept off Broadway. And I just started making product for Playland Pizza down the street off Houston. And I make donuts for a couple different coffee places. And, like having the skill and being able to, kind of bounce from thing to thing as necessary, or as, what the public wants type thing was, definitely key. Like, I know a lot of pastry chefs who don't know anything about regular cooking, who couldn't, braise something. I mean, they probably could figure it out, like pastry chefs are pretty smart, but like most of us are, but who just either don't have an interest or don't, want to do that or whatever. And I know some like incredibly talented, cake decorators here in town that, all they do is cake decorating, but, their shops closed, or the shops that they were working for closed down. And they themselves don't know how to really bake. They know how to decorate, but they don't know how to make cakes, or how to make a pastry cream as the filling, or, things like that. Or, all they know is, how to decorate, type thing. So definitely like having like multiple skills like already lined up, was definitely like a saving grace for me and saving grace for my company. Like when pies aren't cutting it, chicken pot pie will. When people are tired of sausage, like I can like, make it, cook down and make my own carnitas and black bean puree and pickle my own jalapenos and do that instead, fun flavor, So just being able to like pivot quickly and, like if I absolutely had to, if I needed extra money, like I know I can go cook or do prep work somewhere else, or, which I mean, I don't think anyone's dumb enough to like hire me for that. Like they'll try to hire me to like make their desserts type thing, but like, like I could if I wanted to, type thing. So like definitely having like different skills, it just so happened to, work out in my favor.
The versatility, is really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Just hearing that. Was it ever, again with the pride?
Mm-hmm. Oh, so much pride I have.
was it ever? You're like, I know this is like you had no option, but did you ever think about like, oh no, I'm not gonna do, since I know your whole thing is pastry,
mm-hmm.
right? And then you're like talking about roasting sausages and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Did your pride ever like kind of want to sink in and say, you know what, I just want to do pastries because that's all I love,
yeah.
and that's all I want to do, and you were kind of hesitant to go different other routes?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a pride thing. I think that's, I think pride and boundaries are two sides to the same coin. Yeah, something weird. It's probably because I keep twisting and playing with these wires. I've always been a fiddler. Like I'm always like going or like wiggling my toes or playing with stuff or doodling, or I have nervous energy. I mean, yeah, like so more of like a boundaries thing where especially when I was like phasing out as like a full-time worker here for the silo restaurant groups, and like going more and more in my own side, having like those tough conversations where it was like, no, like my restaurant, the chef that I was working with, Luca Della Casa, who's the chef here at Nona, and like basically like one of the main chefs here for the restaurant group as well. I remember him talking to me about possibly working on the line with them a couple days a week, and like like helping plate desserts, or in my past career, like on and off, because I worked in restaurants, like I randomly know how to line cook, like I can I mean, it's been a while, but I mean, I can definitely, if you were to like put me on a station or something, like it wouldn't take me very long to pick it up and be able to plate, salads, or to cook meat to temp, or to, saute something, or, like I have those skills too, type thing, because, I had, when you're the little lowly pastry girl plating desserts, believe that they're gonna like get into a bind and expect you to start plating salads and like moving your way up type thing. But anyways, getting off track. like I definitely had to have that conversation with Luca, because like, he wanted me to like be plating desserts and do, and I know what that means. Like, you also want me doing, obviously if I'm capable of doing something, you're going to ask me to do that too.
Of course,
That's
yeah.
being, he's a smart man. He's going to get it bang for his buck. He knows I know how to cook, and he knows that, if he's like, hey, like, here's how you plate our octopus dish, I need 5 of them, type thing. And really having to tell him like, no, like, my line cook days are over. Like, my restaurant days are over. Like, I'm not, unless I'm the owner of the restaurant or I have some sort of stake in it, like, I'm just not going to do it anymore unless I want to, type thing. I'm not going to be like pushed into it, or, like, I mean, that's, that was when, I started with the company as a full-time salaried employee, and then like over time, like, went down to hourly, and then like part-time, and then, obviously, like, blessed enough to where, like, I don't even need this part-time because I'm so busy doing my own thing. Like, I can't, anymore. I don't need your money. Not that I don't need their money. Patrick, please don't leave me. But like, 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 this isn't necessary anymore. Like, it's better for the company. They can hire someone for cheaper, to do it than like have me doing it, type thing. And just having that, those boundaries. Like, I'm not, I don't go and plate desserts anymore. Like, I don't do that type of work anymore, type thing. Unless I'm just like feeling squirrely and like, oh yeah, for one night only, I'm going to do dessert specials and I'll plate them for you, type thing. So it's really just like, that boundaries, and just, and sticking to them.
Was it hard to set boundaries, or?
Yeah. Because like, I mean, and like my own, like, just how I am personally, like, I want to please, and I always want to do whatever it is that you ask me, type thing. And it's, like the kitchen hierarchy, I spent so much time, it's burned into my brain, like it's my default setting, so like that, like if, a chef that, that I feel is, not that I'm inferior or anything like that, but that's a bad word, but like, a chef that I respect or whatever, if they come up and ask me to do something, like if I'm physically able to do it, or if I think that I'm physically able to do it, like, I'm going to do it. Like, it doesn't like occur to me, to say no, because, in the kitchen, like, we're taught not to. You don't say no, you just make it happen. You say, yes, chef, and you get it done, type thing. But, then, you get yourself into, especially when I was, like, doing both at the same time, like, I would be so busy, and then all of a sudden, they've got, like, hey, we need desserts for 200 people for tomorrow. Sorry we didn't tell you about it, but, make it happen, Jenn. You're the best. You're the best. If you want some food, we'll cook it for you, type thing. But then it was like, fuck, but I've got a 5-tier wedding cake, and so then you get, like, stuck into situations like that, So definitely, like, learning boundaries, and, and definitely, the fear is also, like, instilled in you in the industry. Like, if you don't do it, like, we'll find someone else who can. So, like, then obviously, like, feeling that pressure, like, if I'm, are they going to be mad at me? And then, all of a sudden, like, they don't want to lease space to me anymore. Or if I tell them no because, like, they're in the wrong, and, like, no, like, I can't do this for you. Like, New Year's is next week, A, I'm in the hospital, and B, New Year's is next week. Like, no, I can't come up with 2 desserts for you. Like, there's no time. There's just no time, type thing. So yeah, it's hard, and I definitely find myself in, like, in binds or whatever, because I want to please, and, you have that fear in you, and, all these things, like, kind of just, like, compound together, Sometimes I'm good with my boundaries and sometimes not, and, I definitely, like, try to learn my lesson from both situations.
What is your ultimate goal? Like, I'm not saying, like, in the future or nothing like that, but what is in your mind, what do you envision to be where you're like, oh, I finally made it. For my other goal, but, like, when you finally make it complete, maybe making a pastry for your favorite artist, or, like, what is your ultimate goal at the moment that you're working towards?
I mean, my main goal right now is, other than just, like, surviving at this point, that's all of our main goals now, is just surviving. If you ask any industry person or small food and beverage business owner, like, that goal, the main goal is to be able to have enough rent for next month. I mean, the main goal for my business, is to, like, I'm sure I'll never, I know, like, I'll never be satisfied with whatever it is that I'm doing. But, the goal for my business is to grow it to the point to where, like, not only am I being supported, but I'm able to support other bakers and pastry chefs that work for me type thing. The goal is to see that grow and to be able to, foster other people's like ideas and like give them space. Like, I can't find an assistant now to save my life, but like, I would love to find someone who can like obviously help me achieve my goals, and then be able to sit back and watch that person grow and go off to do their own dreams and to do forge their own path type thing. Like, I want someone to come work for me and then help me get there, and then I look up and they've opened their own chocolate shop, or they've opened their own restaurant. Obviously not something in like direct competition with me, of course. Don't come after me. But, man, like, I want to be able to support other people, like, my ultimate goal is, to make other people happy, and to find a little bit of satisfaction and a little bit of comfort in that.
It's amazing.
I guess. I don't know. I feel like that was a kind of weak rambling answer, but, like,
The helping part, it's always amazing. Like you said, I think there's always, like you mentioned, there's a bigger satisfaction when you're able to see not only you accomplishing things, but also helping someone else accomplish whatever they're trying to do. Just the unselfishness. Even though being selfish is really good too.
Oh,
but
you have to be.
Yeah, but being unselfish also pays off, and it's amazing.
I'm selfish with my time, and I'm definitely apparently I'm hard to work for because I can't find anyone to work for me. But, I want someone who can, like, tough it out and, like, be able to, like, I want to get to the point with someone who can, like, come to me and be like, Jen, like, look, in between what I was doing, what you told me to do, like, I made this, like, I created this, like, oh my, look, I made up this new technique and it fucking works and it's great, type thing. Look, like, let me, like, I want someone to, I want to teach someone and then have that person to be able to come back and, like, teach me something, That's, like, the goal. And I guess my long term, I've always wanted to be a teacher, so I guess when I'm too old to survive kidney stones and working at the same time, like, I want to be a, some sort of culinary school teacher or something like that, and be able to, be old and, like, throwing wads of dough at my, at my crappy students and, yelling at them and, like, but also teaching them, like, beautiful buttercream flowers, That's, like, the goal.
What is the hardest, since you already have enough experience, and now that we have social media, now that we have all these different tools that maybe you didn't have back then, what is a good way, if you could start all over again, 2021, right? You're barely 18 years old, or you're 17, right? And you want to get into this industry, which is really hard. What is a good way to work for someone? You know what I mean? Sometimes I feel like school's going to teach you enough, but it won't teach you the rest, compared to, like, if someone comes and works, like, reaches out to Jen, right? And they're like, oh, you know what? I really love this. You know what I mean? Is there any way I could, like, you mentor me, you know what I mean? I help you out. Like, I really don't have much experience. I really don't know anything, but this is something that I think I want to do. I'm not really sure. Everybody thinks that being chef is so cool because they see so many movies, you know what I mean?
Oh, like, yeah, it's so glamorous. I get that all the time.
Till they finally work in a restaurant, they're like, you know what? This is not what I expected, and but they already spent $15,000, and then they're like in the hole. They're like, you know what? If only I would have reached out to a chef and say, you know what, like, let me shadow you, let me work for you, and let me taste it before I go all in.
Yeah.
What is a good way to approach someone, you know what I mean, what is the correct way to approach someone in that scenario, do you think?
I like this emotional music. Is that me or you? Or is that
no,
the?
it's
It was like perfect timing.
Exactly.
So I guess your question is like, how, if someone wanted to learn from me, like, how should they come up and talk to me
Exactly.
about it?
Well, yeah, to you, because we can't assume of anybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
For
or
you.
how would anyone, like, if they want to, like, apprentice with another chef, you know, because I can only speak on, you know, chef mentality. Having a humility and having a direct goal. You know, like, if you come up and say, oh my God, Jen, I think I want to be a pastry chef. I would love to, you know, come, you know, shadow you and, you know, come kind of see what you do and work and stuff like that. And, you know, I'll be like, oh, here. I'm like, oh, okay, you know, whatever, sure, you know, type thing. But I probably won't put much, you know, into, you know.
Of course.
Put much thought into it. Like, everyone, you know, everyone, not that I'm whatever, but like you know, I definitely see on the out. I've had people like, oh my God, Jen, I want to be like you. You know, you're so awesome, and you just do whatever you want. You're just you hang out at the, you know, like you go into a restaurant, all the chefs know you, and this and that, and they're glamorous, and blah blah blah. You know, I mean, and that's, God, the music is so beautiful. And I mean, that's not it, you know, because I'm not going to listen, you know, I'm not really going to, like, oh, like, I'll tell anyone, like, oh, well, you know, like, if you really want to, you know, go down to Half Price Bookstore, and I bet you can find a used CIA bacon and pastry cookbook, like, you know, crack that bitch open and start reading. But, like, if you come to me with a goal, Jen, you know, I love your pies, blah, blah. Keep the compliments, you know, to a minimum or whatever. Jen, you know, I love pie making. Will you show me how to make pie dough? Will you take the time and show me how to cook a custard, because I just don't get it, or I just don't know how? Or will you sit down and talk to me for an hour about where you were and where you are now, and like, and what happened, you know, type thing. Then it's like I can give you like a more clear answer. You know, if you just say, like, you know, broadly, like, oh, Jen, like, let me come hang out with you, you know, 9 times out of 10 I'm gonna be like, oh, like, I'm too busy to be a zoo animal for you to come watch me, you know, type thing. Or, you know, like, if you say, like, oh, let me come help you, you know, like, you know what would help? Peeling these 2 cases of apples for me.
Of course.
You know, but like having like a more like direct, you know, because I think most chefs are like goal driven, like having a direct goal, and then showing up for it, you know, saying like broadly, like, oh, I would love to, you know, come in and like help you, and, you know, just it's called staging, is when you go like hang out and like work in a kitchen basically for free, you know, and just to go see what's up and what it's like or whatever. I would love to come stage with you type thing. And then I'm always like, oh, okay, that's nice, you know, whatever. But you let me know when, you know, type thing. And like they never circle back, because most people never have time for anything type thing. And especially if no money is involved, then there's this quote unquote no value to it, you know. Which, I mean, if you come in and stage for me and you're great, like, you know, and you impress me, like, I will slip you $30 quick, you know, like, I appreciate people. But, you know, but if you come to me with, to be like, Jen, I want to come see what you do. Can I come hang out with you Thursday? You let me know what time. I will show up at 5 a.m. if you tell me to. Then okay. Now we're talking. Okay, well, show up at 5 a.m. and like you can help me fry some donuts, and you can, you know, I'll show you how I make the dough, and this is how I glaze it, and this is what I do, you know, type thing. So you have to be like very specific, because no one has time type thing, you know. But I mean, it has to, you know, have that value, you know, to it. Like, you know, like I'm, you know, to sit down and just like wander around, you know, like just look at me type thing, I'm like, oh, like, get away from me. But if I know that like someone's interested, I'm like, then I'm interested, you know, and then I'm invested, and then there's value in that, because like, you know, again, like, obviously I love talking about myself, so like I get off on like someone who's gonna like sit and fucking listen to my rants and raves, and then be like, okay, like, you know, every 10 minutes you got to lift up the foil for the custards in the oven, because, you know, condensation will occur. It'll be like a rain shower inside, and the tops of your custards will get wet. That's why you have to like vent it and let the steam out every 10 minutes, you know. Then it's like more interesting for me, you know, like, oh, like, you know, the butter needs to be this size in the flour when we're making pie dough, so that when I roll it out, it's gonna be flat and like form into delicious flakes, and then you have flaky pie dough, type thing. Or if it's like something specific, like, okay, like you got 2 hours of my time, like I'll show you how to write happy birthday on a plate, type thing. But then just to be random, like, oh yeah, I would love to, come in for free one day and, see some shit. And I'm like, fuck yeah, like I would love some free labor. Like when you're ready to show up, let me know, type thing. So that's how you just have a clear goal. I think I'm sure I've had this conversation with a former assistant named Joe Andy, who's amazing and so talented. He makes me so mad, but he's so talented. I love him. I love him to death. I hope he listens to this. But yeah, I mean, I want to say that, he asked me, he was like, I want to, go, work with this chef, but you have to have a specific thing. Why? Not just like, oh, I want to follow you around and see what you do. It's, oh, I respect the way that you do chocolate work. Can I come in on the day that you're making chocolate so that I can watch you and ask you questions on how you temper it or how you make the filling or how you paint the molds? It's having a goal and like sticking with the goal. Because if you go up to a chocolatier and say, hey, can I come, I'll work for free for you, you're going to fucking find yourself chalking chocolate all day or mopping, which aren't like bad things, like it's all part of it too. But, you have to be specific. Like I want to learn, I couldn't help but notice that you make amazing Danish dough. Can I come in and work overnight with your baker and see how you do it? I've never seen Danish dough made in large format using commercial style dough sheeters, And then that's how you like get, someone interested and be like, oh, okay, like you're paying attention, like, or like with any artist. I love the colors that you use, or I love the way that you blend your paints. Will you show me how you do that? Versus being like, oh, can I wash your paintbrushes for you?
That makes total sense. Yeah, just the way.
I mean, I'm sure I could have summed that down into like a 2 or 3 sentence thing.
No. That opens a clear picture. I think it's usually super frightening reaching out to someone. Mm-hmm. You don't really know what to say, but
yeah.
But when you say things like that and you paint the picture of like the proper way for you, mm-hmm. which would work, and when I think about it compared to like, oh yeah, can I shadow you, or compared to what you just mentioned, or I saw you do that Star Wars cake, you know what I mean? And mm-hmm. like I really like the shape. How do you make a circle or
how did you make that shape? How did you get the sparkles on there? Like how did like if you go up to if someone who wants to be, get into photography and they go up to their favorite photographer and was like, oh, I love your work, I mean, they, I'm sure they hear that all the time, but if you were to be like, I love the way you have your lighting on this specific series of portraits that you did. Will you talk to me about how you got that lighting or how you got that exposure or what you did to, get that certain look or that style? Then that's an avenue, to work with for both sides, because the person trying to learn has a goal, and then the person who's teaching like has a direction as to what to do with this person.
That makes perfect sense. Is there anything you want to plug? Is there anything you want to talk about? Is there anything in your mind?
I mean, really nothing. It's just I think that it's been tough for so many people during the closures, and I think obviously like some businesses are faring better than others based on maybe luck of the draw and where they're located, or what type of deal they have with the building or the spots that they're in or whatever. And to see some people struggle and some people make it, and sometimes it's not really based on any like particular merit. It was just like, well, you're on this side of town and I'm on that side of town, and like I just so happen to be here and you're there, and like I have less overhead, and so that's why. But like I think that I don't even know where I'm going with that. Just talking about the issues with kind of navigating this new world that we're in, and I think everyone's like scared. Like I know it sounds like whatever, but and again, like I'm super emotional all the time, but I swear to God, every day I'm so fucking scared. Like I wake up scared because something could happen. Like I I could get COVID, and if I'm out for 2 weeks, like, that'll, destroy my business. I could hire someone who gets COVID, and then I'm fucked, and then they give it to me, and then, or, anything could happen. Like, I don't own the property that I bake out of, so, like, they could kick my ass out for any reason or no reason at all, or maybe, people get tired of ordering from me, or maybe, I'll run my mouth on Facebook and all of a sudden there's a backlash, or, like, I mean, there's so many different, reasons to, to just be, to be scared all the time, or like, like, maybe I just won't make any sales, or, like, everyone's doing, Valentine's Day specials, but like, fuck, like, this month I was super tired and I'm recovering from some medical stuff, so like, and, like, I've been going hard and pumping away since March, so like, I'm fucking tired, I'm exhausted, and like, finding that energy, to keep going and to keep, staying fresh and staying with it and keeping people interested, and then like, trying to like, so, being scared of like losing your business and like losing your livelihood, and then like, I put so much of myself into my business that, being scared of, losing relationships and losing, any bonds that, you put time in to build and stuff like that, like that, the looming possibilities of that too is, always like weighs, heavily, on my mind type thing. Like, if I'm super busy at work and then I'm super bitchy to my friends, then all of a sudden, you're kind of like, might find yourself a little lonely, type thing, a little, like, maybe I should go back and apologize, and I do, like, there are times where like I was just on one, or, like, this past month, like I had stents in my kidneys and I was in so much pain and on pain medication, I had to go back to like some friends and like apologize, because like, I know in the past, couple weeks, like, I said some crazy things, and I was just feeling some type of way, and I, this and that happened, and so hurt my feelings, and this and that, and they gave me a weird look, and they canceled their order, and my assistant quit, and, all that type of stuff, and like, be like, fuck, like, now that I've had a couple days of like not being in pain and not on pain meds, I was like, better circle back and, like, mend the bridges, type thing. So I mean, just like constantly dealing with that, but I mean, like, just, like, I think what's more hopeful than, I'm sure like other places, I say it all the time, like, what's more hopeful than cake, or than, pastries and stuff like that, and just like having to like keep trucking forward, like people keep liking my stuff, so, and just keep going forward, with that, and just, building the company type thing. And then obviously, I work out of the Fairmont Hotel, and the ultimate goal is to, which keeps getting derailed, like, we make plans, and then like, obviously, the country is in crisis, so like, changing the plans or whatever, but obviously like the goal is to open up some sort of storefront here in the hotel,
okay,
and do something pretty and cute with that, and like breakfasty, for the, once the hotel opens and the rooms are up and running and everything like that, like having, the hotel will be buying their products from me, and then I can make cool breakfasty stuff for them, or blah blah blah, or room amenities, or anniversary wedding things, and stuff like that. So really, just like having this like, really strong survival desire, and this, like, all I have to do is outlast my competitors, and then just wait, type thing. So it's just like a constant, push. And then I'll like, wake up and be like, what, I'm not taking orders for the next 4 days. I'm just going to chill. I'm just going to, I really just want to make cornbread at home and use my colored pencils and, dwell on what that person said to me 2 weeks ago. And, what do they really mean? That type of thing. So that's where I'm at. That's all there is to plug, and just, keep going and keep building, and, get other people to, encourage them to buy local, and just go from there. Stop eating at Johnny Carino's. There's all these local Italian restaurants that need your support, like, stop going to Starbucks. Like, Mila Coffee, is right up the street. You know, go talk to them instead. They have my donuts, by the way. You know, like, you know, stop buying from Walmart, you know, when there's local markets here of artisans that are, you know, making their own clothes, or, you know, upcycling, you know, doing cool stuff with vintage, or, you know, like, you could buy a cheap poster off Amazon, but, you know, like, every first, you know, throughout, you know, like, art is hope. All art, like, whether you eat it, whether you look at it, or you wear it, or you put it inside your body, a piercing, jewelry, whatever, you know, art is hope. And, you know, it's here. You know, the city is, you know, the people here are providing it. You just have to go find it. You know, stop buying crappy stuff at the back of Ross to decorate your apartment. Go down to First Friday. Everyone's set up everywhere, all through downtown. You know, buy a cool art print. You know, like, buy a cool street sign that's been painted over, you know, type thing, is what I would encourage people to do. But, you know, I don't know, in clothing, you know, I have a lot of people that support me, and, you know, I appreciate that, you know, from the culinary community to, you know, the artist community and everyone in between, you know. You know, people are super down for me at this point, and you just gotta keep riding that wave, you know. And that's it. And that's what I do. That's me. That's Jenn. This is where you can find me.
Where can they actually find you, though? If someone wanted to purchase something, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
The best way is Instagram. So I mean, social media made my entire company. You know, I don't even have a website. I tried to have a website, but, you know, I'm an army of one. Like I said, it's harder and harder to find assistants, and I couldn't keep up with a website because, you know, lucky me or whatever, I couldn't keep up with the volume or the demand. It was just too much. Like, I just couldn't take on that many orders at once. So the best way to find me is on Instagram at Rooster Crow Baking. And then my email is roostercrowbaking@gmail.com. And you can send me an email. I also have a Facebook page by the same name, Rooster Crow Baking. And so the best way to get a hold of me is through email, or through, you can slide up in my DMs on Instagram. And I mean, that's the best way. You can call up the Fairmont Hotel. They'll give you my information. You know, if you call up the hotel and be like, I heard about Jenn, you know, like, how do I get a hold of her? They'll be like, oh yeah, here's her number, you know, type thing. So, and that's the best way to find me.
You also said, you also mentioned that Mila Coffee?
Yeah. Oh, you can find me. You can find me in your heart. That's where, you know, anytime someone's like text me, like, you know, where are you? Because I'm always, it's not that I'm late. I get to places on time, and then I like to sit in my car for 10 to 15 minutes and dwell in my mind. So I always like to respond back, you know, when people are like, where are you? I'm always like, I'm in your heart, you know, type thing. That's where I am. But you can find my products at Mila Coffee. I sell donuts to them on the weekend. You can find awesome desserts at the Hayden restaurant, also off of Broadway. I make apple pie for them, chocolate babka, coconut tres leches, which is delicious.
Okay.
Playland Pizza with Stephen Bowers. Just started. I hope he continues. Hint, hint, Stephen. You know, they just started buying desserts from me and buying like chocolate tarts and cookies from me. And then just it kind of rotates. Who else? Slackers near the medical center is starting to buy kolaches from me because they open up early for, you know, medical staff to go and get a drink at 7 a.m., which they deserve. So yeah, it's always kind of like changing and, you know, going from there. Obviously, you can find my desserts at the restaurant Nona here inside the Fairmont Hotel. And I'm always trying to expand out and grow from there.
Sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Jenn. Like, thank you so much. It was amazing. And
I hope it was good for you.
It really was. It was amazing. We'll definitely stay in contact. But Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.